we're coming back to you live from the duck pond. I'm Sean.
And I'm Zach.
And Zach's having an existential
and I'm broken.
crisis. All right. So, like, here's the thing. Last time you were like, I'm glad we talked about Undertale because I do want to talk about it next time. And you weren't even that far in the game yet. And as of yesterday, Zach finished the neutral ending.
I did.
Which is
broken.
Which is emotionally scarring.
I'm very broken.
So Zach has prepared very much for us.
I have a lot, so we might have to breeze through some of the topics because I have a lot.
All right. Well, let's start with some of the lighter stuff. You know, what are your general thoughts? What do you want to talk about, man?
All right. I actually have an overall feeling about what I experienced last night, so I'll skip down to that part.
Sure.
The very first thing I have.
Oh, it should be said. Major spoilers for Undertale.
Yes, spoiler alert.
Play Undertale. It is amazing. Totally worth every cent. Yeah, it's just great.
Absolutely.
So, like, yeah, don't let it be spoiled because it's
huge spoilers
so
incoming.
Yeah.
If you haven't played it and you have any interest at all,
yeah,
play it and then come back.
It's great.
You won't regret it. It's amazing.
Probably my second favorite game of all time. But anyways.
I'm still trying to process it in my mind. So.
Oh, you're not even done. But all right, go ahead.
So my overall feelings when I ended was the first thing I've written down is I'm not satisfied with my ending.
And you were saying that on the stream.
I wouldn't on stream I said I wasn't happy with my ending.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's the correct word choice. I think satisfied fits that a lot more.
Sure.
So I have a few reasons of why that is. The first one being you get that choice at the very end to either spare or kill the king, right? Mm-hmm. And I sat there it was probably a good 5 minutes, just like, what am I gonna do?
Corbin and I were just going off in the chat like, oh my gosh, he's actually gonna kill the king. Oh my gosh, he's gonna do it. Because you said before, like when you were fighting, you're like, is it right for the king to kill me and then go and wage another war on the humans? And I was like, oh my gosh, I think he's gonna kill the king. I was like, oh my gosh.
Okay, I was so torn. So we get to that thing. I guess first I want to say how I made my choice.
Yeah.
Is for the first 4 minutes of just like me just sitting there, I was like thinking hard about it, like what on earth, and I was confusing myself, and I had more questions than I had answers of what I wanted to do. So I honestly just stopped thinking, and I just chose what I felt was right. So I spared the king, and that's why I'm not satisfied with my ending, because after all that, my choice didn't amount to what it had me expecting the entire game. Because
for anyone, you know, you should know, but like, you know, you spare the king, you have to beat him down to like barely a sliver of HP left.
Yep.
And then he does this little speech that's really touching. He was like, "You'll be my new son or daughter." It's not gender specific.
I was going to ask about that, actually.
Yeah, the kid is not gender specific, but like, yeah, you have like the two. We'll bring my wife back and we'll raise you and it's going to be wonderful. And then Flowey kills him.
Yep.
Just comes out of nowhere.
Oh my gosh.
I think, Zach, had you just like forgotten that Flowey existed? Because he's very...
Honestly, yeah.
He's very brief at the beginning.
I honestly thought he was just kind of there to show you to like...
Yeah.
Like... You can't expect what, I don't know.
Yeah.
Surprise factor, right? Like,
for sure.
That's what I thought he was there for.
Because that's what the opening
I'd never
feels
see him
like.
again, right? But no!
There are moments in the game where if you go back the way you came, like, you remember that bridge in Snowdon?
Yeah.
Like, where Papyrus has that big trap? If you walk back, you can see Flowey, like duck under the ground.
Really?
So there are moments where you can see him, like, following along. And then there's also, like, the whole thing where Sans, like, is talking to you, and he's like, have you ever heard of a talking flower? And you assume he's talking about the echo flower.
That's exactly what I thought he was talking about.
And I was like, my first thought when he said that was Flowey. But then he goes on and he's like, someone must be playing a prank on Papyrus with an echo flower. And you're like, oh, okay. But like...
Man!
Yeah, so there are like very subtle hints throughout the game that he's still there. But they're very subtle. You have to kind of be lucky and see them.
That's crazy. Because I honestly, I thought he was gone forever.
Yeah.
And then...
Just comes back out of nowhere, kills the king. And then, yeah. So how did you feel about the whole Flowey fight? Omega Flowey, he's called.
I was really confused.
You were very quiet that whole fight.
I was very confused.
Just occasionally you'd be like, what is happening?
Okay, and so I have a question about that fight, actually.
Yeah.
Can you lose that fight? Because I got the impression you couldn't. Because I was getting hit by, I want to say, 80% of the projectiles. And I was already at a sliver of HP, and I would never die.
You can lose that fight.
Wow.
And what happens is your heart breaks, and then it brings up like the whole stay determined thing.
Yeah.
Except for instead the dialogue says, this is just a nightmare. And then it's Flowey's voice, and he says, one that you'll never wake up from. And then the scream fills with just him laughing, like ha 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 ha, and then it crashes again.
And you have to do it again?
Yeah.
Dang. See, I was completely under the impression at the end that I could not lose this.
Yeah.
Because I was like, how am I still alive? Because I think my average on every boss was probably 10 to 14 attempts.
And Papyrus, they only let you try 3 times before Papyrus just lets you through anyways. And then you just got through.
I got, he let me through out of pity.
So yeah, it's very interesting, like the end of that game suddenly breaking the 4th wall. It's counting the deaths. You're telling the king, you've killed me 4 times. And he just like nods. And then Flowey has the power to
sad.
save.
You tell the king that he's killed you 12 times. Me.
Yeah, right.
Man. I know. Stop rubbing it in.
It eventually just stops counting.
Yeah, it's an uncountable number of times. You're like, oh no.
Anyway, sorry, I'm distracting us from your thoughts on this.
That's fine.
What else do you want to talk about with this? With the overall or any specific stuff?
One thing I found really interesting, I was thinking about, is because I didn't kill Toriel in the very beginning, it mentions how Toriel went back and became the ruler after the king died. So if I killed Toriel, it's got to be completely different.
Different ending. Like
the fact that a choice that early decided the end, I think, is amazing.
Most of the major choices in the game are just about killing the boss monsters, so to speak.
That makes sense.
If you kill them, there's going to be a different neutral ending. So and even more specifically, you remember how at the end Flowey appears again and he's like, hey, you need to go be better friends with Undyne. There's a different ending. If instead you had been a better friend with Undyne and then gone and done the neutral ending, there would have been something slightly different.
Interesting.
Because at the end,
so that's how there's 92 different endings.
Yeah, you remember how at the end he was saying Undyne still hates you. Papyrus was like, we're trying to find a way to get up to you.
Yeah, so they can beat me up.
Yeah, exactly. It's different.
Dang.
Yeah.
I poured water on Undyne. What more do they want from me, man?
Come on, man. You went on an entire date with Papyrus.
That's true.
Yeah, you didn't give Undyne any time. All you did was fight her and dump some water on her.
When she was burning.
How are you supposed to be friends with that after that?
I did like a date Undyne.
You can date everyone. Undertale's a dating simulator.
You loved my date with Papyrus.
Oh man.
I decided on 2 favorite characters.
Okay.
And it's Papyrus and Toriel.
And Toriel.
And I don't know why I'm so attached to Toriel.
You were.
Because I saw her for an hour.
That's an interesting thing as well. Because she is literally, everyone calls her Goat Mom. And that's what she wants to be, She wants to be your mother. But honestly,
she was just a caring.
She is the epitome of what a lot of people hate in other games. If you think about Zelda games, they hate the character that tells you exactly how to do the puzzles.
Right.
And she literally holds your hand.
She walks you through the puzzle, yeah.
And people Skyward Sword, Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, biggest complaint people have is Fi or Fi, that character, because she just constantly comes up and talks and is like, hey, this is how you do this, this is how you do this, this is how you do this. Yeah. But everyone loves Toriel.
And honestly, I think the biggest regret I have of my entire playthrough still is hitting Toriel like 3 times. I feel terrible. And I never got to make up for it.
Well, she gave you a hug at the end.
I mean, she did, but like that's why I always kept trying to call her when I was in the underground. I'm like,
Forgive me!
I want to talk to Toriel. Let me say I'm sorry.
Even like the end phone call where it's Sans, you're like, oh, it's Toriel!
I wanted it to be Toriel so
You were
bad.
the only person I've ever seen play this game who was like, oh, it's Sans. Okay, that's fine.
I just never got attached to Sans. Like, he's cool.
Okay.
His puns were pretty good at times. But overall, like, I think Papyrus was a better character for me.
Sure.
And I liked Toriel more. So those two are like both my top 2.
Fair, man.
I don't know why, but it's just me.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I will say, like, as far as like highlights of that game for me, one of the biggest highlights is kind of that date you have with Sans in the hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Where he tells you the story of how he's actually friends with Toriel, even though he doesn't know who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just goes, his eyes like disappear.
That was actually terrifying.
Yeah. And
I
he's
was like,
you'd be,
oh my god.
And that's kind of the first time you're like, oh, fetch, this is not just a goofy skeleton.
There's more to him, right?
There's a little bit. And then you see him in the Judgment Hall, and you're like, what the fetch is happening?
Yeah, it's like, why are you here?
But yeah, definitely one of my favorite parts. Plus just all the feels of the monsters telling the stories and the music and the swelling and the, yeah. Anyways.
So I actually want to know your impression of watching me at the end. Like, what? Like, what was going through your mind?
Okay. Through the Asgore fight.
Oh, jeez, I don't want to talk about that.
You were quiet for a lot of it, but like, I could tell you were, I think, oh, no. You were like really quiet for a lot of it, and I was like, okay, he is stressed about, not about just the fight, but about the choice, which I loved. Honestly, the entire end of that game, I was just smiling so big. Because every reaction you had, I was so happy with. And like, just when you stopped and you looked at the mercy and the fight option against Asgore, and you were like, what is the right thing to do? Let me put down the chat, and be unbiased, and I was like, yes, Zach, yes. But I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna kill him. But I was like, yes, Zach.
I'm not gonna lie, I was like, I kept going over to fight,
and
then I was like, no, what am I doing? I can't. It was.
And then the Flowey thing happens. And during that entire fight, you were mostly quiet, except for just being like, what the fetch is happening? And I was just like, I put it in the chat. I don't know if you saw it, but I was like, man, I think Zach is so tense right now, he might accidentally squeeze some poop out.
During the Flowey fight, I was just like, I was more confused than anything, because the art style completely changes. Yeah. The battle's completely different than anything before. There's, like, I was trying to just comprehend what I was seeing.
He keeps like reloading his save files.
Oh,
and it's like,
I hated when like the vines attacked you, and then you would move, and then you get teleported back into them. I was like, no!
Yeah.
That was so frustrating.
Super cool. Flowey's a dope villain, like overall, but yeah. Anyways.
I think the funny thing is, I think my frustration, I think very little of it came from the actual Asgore fight.
It just came from...
I was getting frustrated at myself for being so distracted by the choice I was thinking of rather than the fight, and that's why I would just like run into things because my mind would start wandering as I'm trying to dodge all this nonsense.
You know what? I think that really shows how invested you were in the game, because I've definitely seen other people play where that thing that Alethis says like you have to choose, and Sans says the same thing. You have to choose. You can stay here if you want, maybe. I don't know, man, but like you have to either kill him or he kills you.
Right.
You know. And like that doesn't always sink in for people. They're like, nah, there's a way around that. But you were like, what do I have to do?
When Asgore was saying you can come live with me and my wife, that was never an option in my mind.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I either die here and sacrifice myself, or I kill Asgore and go home.
Yep. Taking a Band-Aid off. Wonderful.
Nice. I will say, when it came to the choice between either sparing or killing Flowey.
Yeah, I really wanted to talk about that too, yeah.
only reason I didn't kill him
Yeah.
was because I had spared every single other person so far, and I didn't want to ruin it.
Yeah.
That is the only reason.
I think that's the reason for a lot of people. They're just like, I don't want to ruin, my pacifist run or whatever. But like, I think, in my opinion, that final choice to kill Flowey or not is the most important.
'Cause I was so close.
Because he has done, at that point, so much crap. He killed the king in front of you. He took all the, you just, I could hear, the hatred in your voice. I was like, holy fetch.
Oh, it was there.
When he killed Asgore and you were like, oh my gosh. And I was like, Zach is actually pissed as heck right now. And I was like,
I really was.
because I think that choice is the most important, but it also, I think, gets the most undermined. Because people are just like, well, I have to not kill him for
Right.
the ending.
Right.
But, it doesn't matter at that point anyways, because you get the ending that
There
you got.
was a glimpse in his art where, how when he goes through all the facial expressions.
Yeah.
When he started saying, why are you sparing me?
Uh-huh.
I almost got a hint of there is something else to Flowey, and something made him how he is. And so then I almost felt a little bad for him.
Yeah.
And then sparing him wasn't such a terrible idea, but
But you have to hit spare 4 times to get there anyways.
Yep. No, those first few clicks on despair, I was just biting the bullet,
Yeah.
just suck it up. I
Yeah.
might not like it, but
Can I tell you what happens if you kill Flowey there?
yeah.
He gets the biggest, creepiest smile on his face. And he says, I knew you could do it. And then he just runs away. Or he does die. I can't remember which. But
That is.
yeah.
Oh
it's
my
worse.
gosh.
It's way worse.
I'm glad I spared him now.
It's actually way worse if you kill him. Because it's somehow he won. Because at the beginning of the game, when you spare Toriel, he's like, you think you can play by your own rules? In this world, it's kill or be killed. And he's trying to teach you that at the end.
Right.
But you've gone this whole time and you're like, I have spared everyone. Freaking Undyne wanted to kill me so bad.
Right. That's also a thing that's if I spared Undyne, I kind of have to spare Flowey.
But then it's just yeah. Yeah, well, I will say this. You'll find more about Flowey. But, yeah. You're definitely not done with him.
I kind of wish I was.
You're not.
Honestly, I wish I was.
But you're going to, man, pacifist ending, I think you'll love it. You said it's not, that ending wasn't satisfying, which is totally fair. I don't think it's supposed to be. You're going to, yeah.
Okay, there's also one other reason I want to go into of why I wasn't satisfied with my ending.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I did feel defeated.
Explain.
So, not in the way of my choices were wrong and I failed the playthrough or whatever. It was just more of every other boss you fight, you beat them and you're like, yes, I finally did this, right? You're for me at least, because I'm pretty bad, but I was like, yes, finally.
Yeah, success.
And there's the you get satisfaction from that. When I spared Asgore, I had none of that. Because Flowey
came in and stole it. Or
Right.
not really stole it, but, well, he stole the ending.
He stole my choice.
Yeah.
And
In a game that's completely about your choices,
right.
that's not a good feeling.
And so when my choice didn't matter almost, I felt defeated because of that.
That's very interesting. I've never heard. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I've never really been able to put it into those words. Yeah, just having that choice ripped away from you, that's such an... And
you even said in chat, you're like, I think Flowey broke Zach. I literally took my headset off and was pacing my room by my door. I was just walking back and forth
oh man.
I came, and then I finally came back, and you're like, I think Flowey broke Zach. Honestly, in that moment, he did. I was like...
You're... Oh, man. And I think that's important for who Flowey's character is, although it's still vague for you. Just knowing that he can, save. he's got like a step above what everyone else seems to have, you know. So like I think it's important to like, if you are a character and you can save somehow, and suddenly there's another character, it's almost like he's another player in the game,
Right.
which means his choices
almost
matter
matter just as much as yours.
Which means he can come in and steal the end. It's like in Smash Bros where you fight someone for like 20 minutes and you like get them up to like 150% finally,
somebody else.
and then someone else jumps in and just kills them, and you're like, you just stole my kill, bro. Like what the heck?
It's like that feeling amplified by 100.
Yeah, because there's so much more like investment in the character. You see Asgore and you're like, man, I like this guy. He's just wants to have tea and play catch with me. Like, oh man, he's so wonderful. But just like Papyrus said, he's a big fuzzy pushover, but like, he's not.
Man. Now that we're probably way over time.
We're not doing terrible. It's 22.
Oh, we're actually kind of on track.
Yeah,
perfect.
We could be ending about now-ish.
I mean, I could talk for hours about this, so it's probably a good spot.
And we will probably continue to talk about this.
Yeah. I think that's probably good for us here.
But yeah, we pretty much formed no coherent thought there. We've got nothing to end with. We just kind of raved about Undertale for like 20 minutes.
Stay determined.
Stay determined.
As always.
Determination.
If you guys have played the game, what did you think for your first playthrough?
Oh, yeah.
Let me know.
Tell us.
Because I would love to talk about it more.
Much like the
with
Tall
other
Man,
people.
we are totally willing to talk about this pretty much any time. This game, let me tell you, I explained the entire plot of this game to one of my companions on mission.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm not just talking about the ending you did. I'm talking about
all of
every single.
He must have been so confused.
And we were. It was in bed at night, and I started at 10:30, and then I'm like, okay, I need to go like get a drink, and I stood up and I like checked the time, and I'm like, it was like at 1:30 in the morning.
Oh my
I was like,
gosh.
holy crap!
That's awesome.
Anyways, anything else you want to say to our lovely viewers?
Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you. Play some Undertale, and talk to us about it.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm still Sean.
And I'm still Zach.
Peace out.
Bye.
Guess what?
What?
I started recording.
I saw.
Okay, cool.
So I was catching up on a
What are you looking at?
text.
Oh.
These are my notes.
Oh, your notes?
That I took last night and this morning.
Oh.
There's a lot of them.
Oh, so like you. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh.
See, I had to make sure I put everything down. So
I feel like
forget it.
you're more prepared than I was with my duck thing.
Well, there's a lot on my mind, so I might just be.
All right. Well, let's get it going, huh? Let me.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
fix your hair for
Mess,
the camera.
mess up my hair a bit. It's better.
There you go.
Feeling good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a friend.
You guys like that? Wink at the camera. I'll put it in a sound effect.
You better. I'm looking forward to this.
I will,
now.
man.
Ding.
All right. Should we wait for this guy to go by, or should I do the intro?
We should wait. I'm a very awkward person.
This is gonna be a long end part of this video.
You could edit it. I believe in you.
Not if we keep talking about it, then I just have to leave all the talking in.
Well, I guess it's already in now because you kept talking.
Yay.
Way to go, Sean. Good job.